messiest post
Beautiful.
to promote.
All right, and we are live. So this is my second Write These Words live stream, but today I'm joined by Julianna Caro, my good BookTube friend.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, Caleb. It's really great to be here.
Yeah, of course. So I thought what we do is you guys know me, I'm Celebrity. I read dark fantasy, horror, all that. I sometimes talk about writing. And Jules, if you want to plug yourself.
Sure. I'm a bookstagrammer and booktuber and writer. I'm trying to be a writer. I read a lot of horror as well, a lot of fantasy and hard sci-fi. I don't talk much about writing on my channel, or at least I haven't in a while because the book stuff does a lot better, but I do like doing sprints and I'm working on a couple projects right now.
Excellent. So this is our writing chat. So Jules, what are you going to be working on?
I'm trying to decide actually still. I have two things open on my screen. So last year ish I finished a 120,000 word manuscript that I was querying for a bit and got like super close to getting agented with it, except that it just apparently is not commercial enough. So I gave up on that and started writing something else, but then recently I've been feeling like maybe I want to take a look at that old thing again. So I might just be starting that from scratch today or possibly working on this feminist horror thing that I'm working on.
I love a good feminist horror.
Lovecraftian stuff.
Ooh, that's my jam. That's my bread and butter.
It's very fun so far to write.
Very cool. I'm also kind of in between. I'm not in between projects. I'm kind of bouncing between two. I've got one that it's a novella. It's a fantasy horror is how I'm trying to sell it.
Love that.
It's in the final stages. So I'm just going through and essentially doing copy editing now. But a lot of the work on that is more getting it ready for publication. And I think I'm going to self-publish it because it's weird. It's 100% not marketable.
I understand that.
So I'm going to pursue the I'm not sure if you guys can hear my kid shouting in the background, but he is.
I can't.
But that's that's late stages, and then I'm also going back to an old manuscript I wrote. I started it in 2016. I wrote probably 20% of it, and then I wrote the other 80% in 2020. And have not looked at it since. So
nice.
I've been reading it. I can tell that I was a very different person, a very different writer then. So
yeah.
So it's a similar thing where I'm reading chapters and be okay, let's just try that again.
No, that's so funny because I'm definitely experiencing that with the thing I'm going back to because I was writing it during COVID, as everyone was writing their stories. And I feel like I was, like you said, such a different person. And I'm going through it and I'm like, oh, I know exactly what trauma I was processing when I wrote this scene. And it's no longer relevant. And I'm going to rewrite it so it's more interesting instead of just an outlet for my whatever feelings.
For sure,
COVID feelings.
Sure. I had definitely seen that in my own work too, where I it was a lot of me just trying to process feelings about things, which I think isn't always bad. I think it's nice to have a little bit of yourself in it, but there's the difference between that and self-inserting
exactly
aspect of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna respond to a few of these comments real quick.
Coolio. I guess I could tap over to that. There we go.
And then for the people in chat, if you're joining us to write, tell us what you're writing in the comments. Mine is kind of just the one I'll be working on is kind of a straight epic fantasy. Except mine is a standalone. I don't think I'm smart enough to think of a trilogy or a 10-book series.
Oh. I don't even know. Everything I'm working on right now, I want it to be a standalone, and especially because I am theoretically pursuing traditional publishing, they really like standalones and duologies. They don't like trilogies or more. They'll not.
Really?
They'll turn you down. Yeah, they don't like it. So the way I'm pitching the one that I'm going back to is as a standalone with series potential, whatever that means. They really like buzzwords. So
Yeah. I've always been nervous about querying my stuff. I've never even tried.
it's horrific. I made a video, like one of my first videos actually was me reading out some of the rejections that I received because they're really nice sometimes, and then sometimes they just tear you apart.
Oh wow.
But it's helpful ultimately. After the pain of being rejected, it's like, okay, now I'll see what they said and actually like, take the criticism and fix my stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and part of it's because I've been a professional like copywriter for 10 years. So like I'm used to getting feedback on my work or someone being like,
Yeah.
this sucks. So it's less of the criticism for me, but part of it's I think my neurodivergent ADHD brain. Like I wouldn't be able to get the dopamine sending 300 emails to agents. I'd get
Well,
through two and be like,
I've only queried like 20 total agents, I think, but I got 8 requests, which is like the next step after you query. If they like the 5,000 words, they send you they ask for the full book, and I got 8 out of 20, which is insane.
that's a good conversion, I'd say.
Yeah, and then they all rejected me ultimately, or like ghosted me ultimately, but that's fine.
Yeah,
This is the
but
first
still,
thing I've ever written, so
yeah, I mean that's not a bad start at all. I would send 2 and be like, well, I did my best.
yeah.
All right. Well, unless we got something else to say, we can go ahead and get going with a sprint. What is the exact time? It's 7:07 now. So do we want to make it a 23-minute sprint and come back at 7:30?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, let's do that. I have to round up. I can't just do.
Yeah, no, that's
All right,
totally
cool.
fine.
So everyone, we'll be back at 7:30 to talk about how we did. There's a way to set up a timer on here. I'm going to play with that for a second, but
Sure.
otherwise, we'll see you then. And we're back. So how'd you feel you did?
It was a bit of a rocky start because I usually write in Google Docs, and I opened up my Google Docs and it was like, you've run out of space, no edits can be made. And I'm like, that's never happened before.
No.
So I quickly downloaded it to Word and then had to like install Word on my laptop. So that took a moment before I actually got into it. But then I think I got a bit done. Not the best sprint for me, but
well, that's okay. We'll have a few more.
yeah.
I had a rocky start too. So in this draft, I'm like adding a whole new POV. So because I want the book to be a bit longer.
Whoa.
So I've got all these notes scattered in Notion, and so I had to like go compile everything, and just getting into that flow. Definitely. But I got about 300 words written, so how good are they? Debatable, but
that's how I feel too. Actually, I didn't check how many words I wrote. Let me see. And so how long is it now, and how long are you trying to make it be?
It's about 80,000 words now, and after my first draft, I kind of finally felt where the story needed to go, and it has to pivot in a whole different direction. And it's gonna radically change. I think the first third of the book, besides like inserting this new POV, is like largely fine. But I gotta totally rewrite the last act at the very least. So it's 80,000 right now. I really want it to be about 120. Going for that big chonker status, you know what I mean?
That's so funny, because in the one that I'm going back to, so I ended up working on my horror thing instead of going back to the other thing. If I was editing that horror, or oh my god, the other thing, I would be taking it from 120 like down to 80. So I'll just give you my words. There you go. Problem solved.
There we go. Yeah, we'll swap. I have a problem of not writing enough. So I kind of have a Hemingway approach where I'm like very succinct, which I've come to learn because like I've only started reading fantasy in the past 3 or 4 years. Come to learn, fantasy readers don't really like that.
It depends, honestly, but I think you're right for the most part. But I was reading something recently that was like extremely succinct and no details, but now I can't obviously remember what it was at all, but I liked it.
But that's kind of where I'm at. But also, like, I think it'll justify the length. I'm not just trying to pad it out. I think there's an arc that can earn that length. It just has to be done, and it's not.
That's fair. I also wrote 300 words. I just checked. 307.
Nice. I think mine was like 297. So, wow. Like, right there within.
Wow. Yeah. I don't know if they're good words.
So, I guess I'll just ask you a little bit about your process. Do you listen to music when you write? This is
actually, yeah. So I thrive in chaos. So right now I'm listening to music. It's not the right vibe. So I'm going to switch it for the next sprint. I was listening to Lord of the Rings lo-fi, which is not the vibe for Eldritch Horror. It's just the first thing I put on. But honestly, a lot of the time I like have Bob's Burgers on in the background because that's my comfort show. So I literally have that. Sometimes I write while listening to an audiobook. I'm insane. My brain loves the chaos, or like YouTube videos.
No, that's intense. I love listening to music. I'm like obsessive about it. I think compiling a playlist of music for my writing sessions, like for the book, is part of my writing process. Yeah. So spending an hour putting a place together, that is writing to me.
That was part of my process for the last thing I was working on. I have endless playlists for like different scenes in the books and stuff, and like I have full documents in my Google Drive of like, this song is this scene and this song is this person's theme. But for right now, with the horror thing that I'm writing, my goal is to just write something really quick and like not go down a million rabbit holes with it.
Yeah.
So I don't have any playlists for it. I don't have like my cast of characters because I always like pick actors to play my cast and stuff.
Oh man.
Yeah. So.
But listening to audiobooks or watching YouTube videos, I think that's where I can't do it. When I listen, I start with audiobooks anyway. Like I have to be doing the right type of work. So I work in marketing, and sometimes editing videos, sometimes it's data entry. That's the perfect time to listen to audiobooks. But yeah, I couldn't do that. I love listening to music though when I write. So some of my writing friends that dead silence. I'm like, man.
No, never.
Right.
Yeah,
Chat.
sometimes even. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna plug chat. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
what do you do? Do you listen to music? How do you get in the mood?
Yeah, I haven't even said hi to chat. Hi, chat.
I
was going to say though that even when I'm reading, I listen to an audiobook while I'm reading a different book. Like I'm absolute monster.
Absolute mad woman. Wow, that's intense. I'm ADHD, so like I have a hard time focusing on either thing I'm doing. So because like usually like I'll watch TV and read if it's like a comfort show. So like my wife and I, we also watch Bob's Burgers like crazy. So like while Bob's Burgers on, I'll just be reading while I watch it. So
exactly, yeah, it's the best show to have on.
It is. We love it. This is not necessarily writing related, but what are you reading right now?
I am reading many things because I'm going in different formats. So my audiobook currently is Jade City, which I did a poll to like find out what my next read would be. It was between Jade City and Justice of Kings, which I know you really like. So Jade City did win, but I'll hopefully get to Justice of Kings later on. But I love Jade City. It's so good so far.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is I really enjoy Justice of Kings. Greenbone Saga is my favorite fantasy trilogy. So
fantastic.
And I think I remember seeing your poll on Instagram. It wasn't like 75% said Jade City.
Oh my god, yeah, it was insane.
It wasn't even close.
Not even close. But it's been a long time coming that I should read Jade City. But then my coworker spoiled Jade City for me at work the other day. She thought I was farther ahead in the book than I actually am. So she told me about a major death. And it was very upsetting.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I am usually one of those people. I won't spoil anything for chat, but I'm usually one of those people like I don't care about spoilers, but like if it's the death, I think it is, which I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
I'm like that would upset me because the shock of that one is so important. I think.
Yeah. Have you read Jade City?
I've read the whole Greenbone Saga.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah, you just said it's your So it's the death. It's the death that everyone, because I obviously looked it up afterwards because I have no self-control. So I looked it up and I was like, oh no, that would have been crazy. But that's what I'm doing on audio. For physical book right now, I'm reading The Harp of Kings by Juliette Merlier.
Okay.
Merlier? I don't know. It's really good. It's it's a bit older. It's a trilogy. It's the Warrior Bards. So it's a story about a bard, and it's very like back to basics, classic fantasy. So I would recommend it based on what I've read so far.
Nice.
And then no worries. Yeah, no worries. And then for an ebook, I'm reading. Oh God, what is it called? I have an arc of Tomorrow's Children by Daniel Polanski that I got from Angry Robot Books.
Oh, nice.
I'm not loving it.
Oh, really? I used to love Angry Robots books. Probably back in like 2013. This was like when they were first kind of like starting to hit mainstream here in the US. I read every single thing that came out from them.
Really?
And then because like I love Adam Christopher. At least I did.
I don't know if I know who that is.
He wrote, what is his big book? He does a lot of like IP fiction now. His big book was Tripwire, I think it was called.
Okay, yes, I think I know that one.
But he wrote a book called Empire State Through Angry Robots that I really enjoyed. It was weird.
I know that one. Okay.
but it was weird and I loved it. But yeah, but after a while, I just the quality, the type of work they were publishing just wasn't my thing. So
That's fair. I actually got really close to being published with them because I had a meeting with Eleanor, their head of what the heck is the word I'm looking for? Like acquiring. And she's the one that told me that what I wrote was not commercial enough. But then I pitched her a different science fiction thing I'm working on, and she read a bit of it, and she said when it's done, she'll publish it. So fingers crossed. If I ever write the thing I pitched her that I'm not working on.
Oh man.
But what are you reading?
I'm the same way. I'm reading like 5 different things. I've been reading Memories of Ice. That's the 3rd book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen. I've been reading that since November. I'm about halfway through it now. It's really good though. It's just one of those books where like I feel like I've struggled in the beginning of all of Erickson's books so far. Where, like the beginning, I'm like, all right, let's get to the point. But somewhere around the 25% where like it clicks for me, then that's all I'm focused on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm burning through that. I'm reading The Spear That Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez.
I've been wanting to read that.
We're doing a buddy read of it on our Discord this month. And I love it. Dan, he's in the chat right now. He's the one that recommended it. He's been talking to me about it for months, trying to get me to read it. And yeah, it's beautiful and ethereal and violent as hell. It's a very strange and amazing book.
I have it. Haven't gotten to it yet. One of my coworkers, the one that spoiled Jade City, is a big fan of Simon Jimenez, so I've been also told to read it a few times.
Based on like our conversations and what I think you like, I think you'd enjoy it. So because it's surprisingly horrific at parts. So
good. I love that. That's what I look for in a book.
It takes a total 360 almost, because when the book starts, it's very dreamy and you're kind of like, it's ethereal, and then it's just suddenly like shockingly violent. I'm like, okay.
Nice.
So I'm reading Memories of Ice, Spear Cuts Through Water. I just finished Ancillary Justice by Anne Leckie on audiobook.
I'm doing a February buddy read of that.
Oh, I liked it. I thought it was really good. If you like space opera, I mean, it's like classic space opera almost. And I enjoyed it. I don't know if I'm going to finish this series, at least not yet, because I feel like the first book is it stands on its own. And I'm just not motivated to start another series yet. And then the last book I'm reading is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson.
Oh my gosh. I've read one chapter of it 3 times. I really want to read it. I just struggle. I think because I tried to read it physically and I only have it in the little mass market size, and I just hate the mass market size.
My library just happened to have like the hardback, so I was like, hell yeah. And we're doing a buddy read, so I got rope.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna do an audio book of it eventually once I finish Stormlight, because that's my goal for the year. Because I just finished Way of Kings.
Oh, okay. Yeah. How did you feel about it?
Oh my god, I loved it.
You loved it?
10 out of 10. I loved Way of Kings.
I'm struggling with Sanderson. I'm only like 2 or 3 chapters in the Warbreaker, so I haven't really formed an opinion on it yet. Except I love the prologue. But yeah, like I thought Elantris. I've only read 2 of the books. I've read Elantris, and I thought it was okay. And then I did not like The Final Empire.
That's Mistborn, right?
That's Mistborn, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And the farther I get away from it, the less I like it.
I've only read Way of Kings. That's my only Brandon Sanderson I've done. But it is my husband's. His favorite is Brandon Sanderson. He's read everything, so he's a champion for.
I know the Sanderson fans like the Stormlight Archive is like the gold standard, right?
Yeah.
So I'm probably gonna finish Mistborn first because everyone tells me to read the second book. So I'll give it another shot, and then if that doesn't work, then I will probably read Way of Kings. So Brandon Sanderson is the only author I know where I can not like 2 or 3 of the books, and I'm still gonna read them.
Exactly. I really thought that I was gonna think Wave Kings was just mid. Like I was fully prepared to think it wasn't gonna live up to the hype, but it was phenomenal. It's the best book I've ever read. Objectively, the best book I've ever read. Not my favorite book, but it's just incredible. So that's how I feel.
All right. Well, we've been talking for 15 minutes. Do we want to do another sprint?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. All right. So we'll be back at 8:15. Do you want to do 30 this time?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay. 30 minutes. We'll be back at 8:15. And we're back.
Hello.
Hello. How do you think you did?
I did okay. I wrote 241 words, but I spent. Oh shit! My thing is echoing. Oh, sorry, my stuff was echoing everywhere. But I spent a long time trying to remember if I had named a random character that showed up again. So I had to like scroll back to see if he had a name, and then that just wasted my time for a while. He did have a name, but
well,
yeah.
now you know.
Now
I
I
did
know.
something similar. I introduced the character again. I was like, wait, what's this guy's name? I knew he had a name, though, so it was pretty easy to go back and look for him. I did pretty well, though. I wrote about 500 words. I kind of got to the end of my
Nice.
chapter, actually. So then I was just
Great
reading
work.
ahead to the next chapter to see what work I need to get done,
Nice.
which is a lot.
That's awesome.
There's nothing quite like reading a scene and being like, I'm going to finish reading this scene, and I know I have to do the whole thing again.
Yeah. Yeah, with this one, I'm not doing any planning. I don't know why. I'm just not doing any planning. And I also don't have any chapters because I don't know how long it's going to be. So I'm kind of just getting to natural pauses in it and then like double spacing starting the next section.
Just doing that quick little line break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am so weird. Like before I can actually start writing, I have to have my formatting right. So like anytime I start something new, I spend like an hour making sure the margins are right, making sure everything's spaced. I got my little title page. I built a table of contents.
That's called procrastinating.
No. It's setting.
But it's important.
Scene, I like to say.
Yeah. It's important. I forgot to put on music this time. I was just writing in silence.
Oh, I think that would drive me crazy. I was blasting metal. It's kind of my go-to. So.
I think I was okay with it because I have headphones on. They're not noise canceling, but I don't know. I feel like I'm in a void right now.
Yeah, they're not noise canceling, but they've got the cushion. They kind of create a little echo chamber. Yeah,
and somehow that was equivalent to music. I don't know.
Mine are open back, so I can hear everything around me. So.
Oh no.
So I have to play music. These are just my fancy video editing headphones.
They're very nice. These are not fancy. They are cat.
They're cat. That's fancy.
They are cat headphones.
Well, I felt like I was going to ask you, and I'm totally spacing it.
I was gifted with pizza while we were writing. Homemade pizza. So I might kind of eat that while we're doing this.
Yeah, that's totally fine. I felt like I had other things I was going to say. Oh, I saw on your post, I think it was today's post, you said you were asking what's some of the hobbies everyone's into, and you said you're into board games. What are some of your favorites?
They're all behind me here. My absolute favorite is Betrayal at the House on the Hill. That's my number one favorite board game. I have the Legacy. Do you know that game?
Yes, I've played Betrayal before.
Yeah, I feel like most people know it. I have the Legacy edition, so like the campaign edition, and I mean, honestly, I've watched like YouTube videos of people playing through it, and the story doesn't change, so I do know what's going on. But I'm playing it through with a group of friends right now. Every couple of weeks, we get together and do a session, and it's awesome.
Nice.
I'm trying to think what else. I also really like Castles of Burgundy, which I have I'm trying to point at it, but it's backwards. It's right here. I have a Kickstarter special edition of it. So it's got like fancy pieces and cool art and stuff.
Yeah, I'm wanting to get more into board games. I play Warhammer, which is in a similar vein, kind of. So I play a lot of Warhammer. But I've got a couple of friends who are playing Gloomhaven on and off. I don't know if you played that one.
It's
oh, it's back there.
Right there under Betrayal Legacy.
My friend just happened to get it. He bought off someone for $50, and I was like, "You got a heck of a bargain on that." So yeah,
I used to work at a board game store. Before I worked at a bookstore, I worked at a board game store, and so I got sick discounts on most of the games that I have.
Nice. Yeah, I think in my ideal world, if I wasn't going to be like a fully published writer, I'd want to work in like some sort of like game bookstore hybrid.
Mhm.
That maybe
Oh
also
yeah,
I was a barista in college, and sometimes I was making coffee.
that's the dream. The dream is bookstore cafe, board game cafe with like cats, but that's my part of it. Cats.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, but you work at a bookstore, so that's pretty close.
I do. Yeah, I do. It's awesome. I was there today, obviously, because I had to work, and it's definitely the slow season right now, but it's the best job ever. It's so fun. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
I would love to live in a, or I would love to live. I would love to live in a
Live in
bookstore.
a bookstore, me
Uh,
too.
I would love to work in a bookstore. Unfortunately, where I am in the U.S. is just kind of like a wasteland. There's just nothing around. And the
Oh,
closest bookstore is a big bookstore, and it's 30 minutes away.
oh no.
Uh,
Although
yeah.
actually, I drive about 40 minutes to get to work every day,
Oh
but
wow.
that's by choice. There are a lot of closer bookstores to me, but I really like the location that I work at,
Fair enough.
because it's in a smaller town, so it's just like really chill. I mostly
Yeah.
like it. There's some of the customers are. It's a small town, so some of the customers are not great.
Yeah, what you kind of got into on your last, or not your last video, but one of your more recent videos.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I worked retail for a long time, and I already had like a very thin line with customers, and I feel like now that I'm older,
Mhm.
I would just be way worse.
I don't know what it is. I really like customer service. Like between the board game store job and the bookstore job, I did work like corporate HR because that's what my degree is in. Like I did have a real job for a while and I hated it. And then I left that and was like, man, I just miss like fun retail. So then I do bookstore.
I
I
mean,
love
hey,
it.
yeah, part of me kind of misses it, or like I don't miss retail per se, but I used to work at Jimmy John's in college.
I don't know what that is.
Uh,
I don't think they
oh,
have that
I it must still
in
be a U.S.
Canada.
thing. It's a sandwich shop.
Oh, mm-mm.
But it's a sandwich shop that does deliveries, and I did deliveries, and that
Oh,
was
okay, that's totally
and
different.
and that was the cush, dumbest, easiest job I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, that would be
Because
incredible.
uh, because I worked in a college town, uh, so I absolutely stacked my weekends with shifts, just to get tipped by drunk frat boys at like 2 in the morning.
Absolutely. Hmm. That sounds
Uh,
amazing.
it was
Yeah.
do nothing job. It was incredible.
I would not go back to food or clothing retail ever again. Th-
Oh
those
no.
those are nightmare jobs. Books though.
Yeah, my first job out of high school was just fast food, and oh yeah, that was horrible. So, and I was fine working Jimmy John's because I didn't make the sandwiches.
Just drove them around.
I just drove around, listening to
Just
music.
little trips. Yeah. This is not related, but because we're talking about Bob's Burgers, one of the games I have is Bob's Burgers Trivial Pursuit,
Oh my gosh.
and no one will play it with me
Oh no.
because I'm too good.
You have to like I enjoy Bob's Burgers. My wife is obsessed with it. So maybe
I'll
when
play
she
this
has a
with your
little,
wife sometime.
yeah, we'll get a Discord call going or something because
Amazing.
she has probably watched the show through entirely. It's on what, like season 12 or 13 now.
It's on 13.
Uh,
Yeah.
Season 13. I mean, she goes through every season probably every 4 months. So, or
That's
like
fine.
the entire show.
Yeah, I probably, okay, because I just have it on all the time. It's
Hmm.
just on. It's not on right now because we're doing this, but it's just on in my house. So I get to the end and I start it over. And like, so I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
Too many
Um.
times.
Yeah. Yeah. She loves Bob's Burgers, man. And I don't have time for like actual TV anymore.
No, me neither.
Like all my friends really want me to watch Andor or Ahsoka, and I don't have time for hour-long television anymore.
Me neither.
I don't have the energy
I mean,
for
I,
it.
I definitely do, but I don't have the attention span for it.
Hmm.
Like my husband Ryan will be like, "Oh, we should watch a show," and I'm like, "Bob's Burgers."
Yeah,
Not.
when I was younger, I was all about long form drama and
Mhm.
movies. But I like you, I just don't have the attention span for it anymore. More than anything, sitting and watch a movie, I'm like, all right, let's go do
Yeah.
something.
I haven't watched a movie in a while though either. But the other night we did watch John Wick 4, and I
Oh yeah,
loved it.
I do love the
John
John
Wick
Wick movies.
it's such like a, I don't even want to say it's a guilty pleasure series because it is really good, but it's also ridiculous.
I
I
mean, like
love John
you
Wick.
don't go to it for like high art. You're like you're not trying to change the world,
No.
right? But they are very well produced movies, right?
Oh yeah. I would say cinematically that's high art, but plot wise.
But plot wise,
No.
I'm just here to watch Keanu Reeves kick people's asses.
Exactly.
Trying to think of the last movie I really watched that wasn't just like a repeat, because like Christmas was just last month, so like we obviously have Christmas movies on in the background. But I think the last movie I really sat down and watched was Dune when it came out.
That was a while ago.
That was a while ago.
That was a long time ago.
So yeah, I think that was
Interesting.
March of last year. That wasn't even last year. It was March of
Okay.
like 2022, I think.
Yeah, it was not last year because oh my god. Okay,
Yeah,
I've watched stuff more recently than that.
I really don't. I really don't. I guess, well, because I have a Doctor Who podcast with a friend.
Cool.
So I watch Doctor Who. I don't know, because the shtick of it is he loves Doctor Who and I've never watched it. So we're going back and we're watching everything from like the 1961 version on.
Yeah.
And we're on the fourth Doctor. And I have very strong negative opinions of the show.
Well, yeah. So I have watched all the old stuff too, just once through. I had an ex way long ago that was like Doctor Who was his personality, so he made me watch all of it. So I think I got up to the 11th Doctor.
Okay.
I think I stopped watching. I think I watched a little bit of 12, but not really. But I did watch all the old stuff, and it is crazy.
Yeah, it is something. And
There's a lot.
depending on which Doctor you're saying their personality was, I'm not entirely sure that's a compliment.
I liked that. I think it's the 8th Doctor. It's just a movie. Like he doesn't even have a show.
Oh yeah.
I think it's the 8th one where it's just like they didn't even give him a show. They were like, you get a movie and you're done.
Yeah, I am. And like I've never watched any of the new Who stuff, so I'm totally uncultured on it. So, and they think it's funny for me to just be wrong about it.
It is funny. It is funny. That would be funny. I feel like Doctor Who has become, well, maybe only because I stopped watching, but I feel like it's not as relevant as it used to be. I don't know.
Well, I think I'd largely agree with that too. Because when New Who came out in like 2000, it was on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
At least that's how I was aware of it, because I watched the Sci-Fi channel. But yeah, I feel like maybe here in the US or North America, there's better or more interesting sci-fi shows.
Maybe I don't know. I wouldn't know. I don't watch TV.
Yeah, I don't know. The Whovians are gonna come for us because of that comment.
I know. Yeah, watch out. I already have the Harry Potter. Well, not the Harry Potter fandom, the anti-Harry Potter fandom after me. Now the Doctor Who fandom's coming for me. Can't please anyone.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make my Ender's Game video, and no one's gonna say anything about it.
I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but I will. But I mentioned Orson Scott Card briefly in that video, and I had someone reach out to me on Instagram asking about like what he had done. So I explained it to her, and then she was like, he's actually like a family friend of mine, like of my parents. And I was like, what? So Orson Scott Card, and I was like, but she agreed that it's like he's not a great person. And I was like, okay, I hope I didn't start any family drama.
Whoopsies.
But also I'm just telling the truth. I'm not saying anything that's not public knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of alluded to in that comment, but Ender's Game was my Harry Potter. I got really invested in the first two. I got really invested in the first two books, especially. And I think I was in high school when I kind of realized what a piece of shit he was. Yeah, that was
Mhm.
that was brutal for me.
That's sad. I'm sorry that that happened.
I mean, we
It's a
all
phenomenal series, and it was only brought to my attention like last year, I think, that he's the
I'm
person that
kind
he
of
is.
yeah, and I think I'm gonna reread it again because it's probably been over a decade since I read it at
Mhm.
least. Um, I just feel like despite his views on the gay community, I feel like the book's got big homoerotic vibes. Uh, because
I can't
it's just
remember.
boys. It's just boys being
It's just
very
boys.
intensely emotional with each
It's
other,
just boys
and I
being
just
boys.
feel like this is
Is
me
that
being
homoerotic, or is that like an actual representation of how male friendships should be, though?
okay. This is gonna lead me off on another tangent. Because me and my friend read in school, the friend I do the podcast with, we had the same English teacher in high school, and we read a book
Mhm.
called A Separate Piece. I don't remember the author's name, but it's about these two teenage boys and like their very intense friendship at this kind of like
Mhm.
prep school for boys, and it is the gayest straight book I have ever read in my life. And when we brought that up to our teacher, he was mad about it.
That's so
Uh,
funny.
we were like, these boys are in love with each other. And oh, he did not like that interpretation at all.
Oh, no. That is really funny. I've never heard of that book, but I believe you.
I don't remember liking it. I just remember getting that vibe from the book. Um, but I want. Well, now my brain's going off on tangent. I'm like, I wonder how many books are where there is a centered on male friendships, but that's just code for things that were
Well,
more taboo in the day.
the one that I always think of is a lot of people think that Frodo and Sam are
Mm-hmm.
secretly gay, and it's like I can see that, but I also just I 100% don't think that. I think it's
I
just healthy male friendship.
I can see it a bit more in the movies as
Oh
opposed to the
yeah, and
books.
then
Uh, yeah, in the
that's
movies, I could
definitely
definitely
true.
see that energy being there.
Look, I have a
Which
hot
I
take about the Lord of the Rings books that I haven't
lay it on
publicly
me,
said yet.
lay it on
Anyone
me.
who says that Lord of the Rings is their favorite book is fucking insane because those
Yes,
books are a
100.
nightmare.
I 100% agree.
Okay,
Actually,
good.
um, I in some of my booktube friend communities, people largely
Mhm.
agree that like, yeah, the movies are the better way to enjoy the story, and I'm of the
Oh,
mind
yes.
that they're the only way you should enjoy the story.
I've read each book exactly one time when I was a child, and I did not like them because we had like my family had a rule where I had to read the books before I could see the movies, and my dad really wanted to like share the movies with me, so I had to read the books, and I hated them. And then I loved the movies. Like you've probably seen it, but like, oh, I can't roll my sleeve up. But I have a Lord of the Rings tattoo. Like I love the movies. I can't roll my sleeve up.
Mhm.
No one gets to see it. But the books, man,
No, I'm
they're
the exact
rough.
same way. I mean,
Okay,
like
good.
the trilogy is like seared into my soul. uh,
Mhm,
very much part of my identity. Do not like the books. I like The Hobbit, but I don't like The Lord of the Rings. Uh,
mhm.
I thought Fellowship was because I just reread them a
Okay.
year ago. I thought Fellowship was like fine, or like I appreciated it. I guess I was like, yeah, it's whimsical. It's the roots of the genre. I
Yeah.
could not stand the Two Towers. I couldn't stand it.
And that's so funny because that's the best movie.
Yeah, I know. That I think that's why it makes me so mad. Is like I love the Two
Probably.
Towers. Why is
Mhm.
the book so bad?
I don't know. I haven't read them since I was 11. I would have been 11 when I read them. Yeah. So I have no real memory of them, but I was flipping through the books again before getting the tattoo because I wanted to make sure I got the quote right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because he's a tattoo. And yeah, I was flipping through it trying to find it, and it just reminded me how insane those books are. But I see a lot of people saying that like their number one favorite book of all time is Lord of the Rings. Like
No,
you've never read them.
is
You're lying.
that is 100% A, they haven't read them, or B,
Yeah,
they
I
don't really
agree.
read much other fantasy other than Lord of the Rings, or they are just nostalgiaed out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, yeah, I get it. If you were a kid and you read them, like, that's really important to you. It's not even close. I don't even know what I would say is the best fantasy. I have this problem all the time when people are like, I want to read more fantasy. What should I read? I'm like, I don't know.
Like literally work at a bookstore. I had a lady today, not actually about fantasy, but she was just like, "Do you read a lot?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "What book should I read?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I
I
have no
don't know.
idea. No clue."
um, well, and part of fantasy is hard to recommend for me, I think, just because uh, stylistically they can be so different, and it's also like really hard to sell someone like, all right, the whole story is in 3 books, or 5 books, or
Mhm.
15 books.
Yeah. I I get so nervous recommending books as well. Like even though I do that on my channel all the time, but when I actually like recommend a book to a person, oh my God, if they don't like it, it's the worst thing ever. And like I had two instances, oh my God, instances recently where I recommended books to people and then they like posted their review of them on Instagram and gave them 4 stars, which is good. But to me, I'm like, oh my God, they hated it. 4 stars? That's so bad.
they they didn't totally change their lives.
Oh my God, because that was a 5 star read for me. So I'm terrible at recommending books.
I know. I second guess my opinions on books so much. I think it's why I don't really do a lot of reviews, or like why I kind of shy away from it. Is because I don't even trust my own thoughts on it, especially right after I read a book. I need like 3
Oh
months to
yeah,
think about it.
exactly. I know
Um,
all the time I finish a book and I'm like, that was 5 stars. And then the next day I'm like, it was 3 at best.
the only book I've read recently where my opinion of it is actually higher than when I initially read it was The Justice of Kings.
Oh, I
Uh,
remember you saying that, yeah.
the more I got away from that book, the more my problems with it became just
Yeah.
very minor.
Mhm. I had that
Yeah.
with The Will of the Many as well.
Hmm.
Have you read that one yet or no?
I haven't read it yet.
Okay. Yeah, there's one thing in it that like when it happened, I was like, what the hell? It's just a weird third act choice that was made that was so unnecessary. But yeah, like as time goes by, I'm like, whatever. I'll just pretend that part didn't happen and the book's 5 stars.
I'll be very curious to see what your opinion of
Yeah.
Justice of Kings is. I feel like I don't know. I don't know what your opinions will be on it, but I think you'll be able to tell, like, oh, this is the thing that annoyed Caleb. Uh,
Okay, that's good to hear. I've heard
um,
really mixed reviews of it, but I think I'm gonna like it.
yeah, I think overall it's very, very good. There's just
Yeah.
like 2 things that I'm like, why?
Okay.
I even bounced the ideas off my wife. She's like, well, I can understand like the motivation in this. I was like, I guess. Um, I've got you here. We can do another sprint in a second, but I'm kind of curious. What are like your top 3, 4, 5 favorite books?
Of all time?
Yeah, of all time or of this past year.
Okay. Okay. Oh, those are very different lists. Okay. Of the past year, my number one is The Will of the Many. I absolutely adored it, even with the weird thing that I think is very strange. Read it so I can talk to you about it. But that was phenomenal to me. I haven't actually read any of his other stuff, which is like I feel like I'm doing this in the wrong order. I haven't read like Lycaonius.
Yeah,
Um,
that's exactly why I haven't read it yet. It's because part of me is like, I need to read Lycaonius first, even though
yeah,
it's totally different and
but you
unrelated.
don't. Yeah. And then I mean, Way of Kings is on my list, but enough people have talked about Way of Kings, so I'm not going to talk about it. Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee was one of my like in my top 5 for sure. That's one of the ones I recommended to someone and they rated it 4 stars and it broke my heart. I thought that was fantastic. Have you read that one?
Yeah, I was personally a little mixed on it, but
No.
uh,
That's fine.
but I think that's really just because of Greenbone. Like Greenbone
Well,
was
that's
so life-changingly good to
mhm.
me that like Untethered Sky didn't totally change my life. So
I think that's the thing though, because I read Untethered Sky first before, obviously now I'm reading Greenbone. So like I read Untethered Sky and I was like, this is fantastic. And all the reviews I saw were like, compared to Jade City and whatever, it's not as good. And I'm like, I thought it was great.
which I think is interesting because I think she actually wrote Untethered Sky before she wrote the Greenbone saga.
Oh, did she? That's interesting.
I think so.
And then, oh, okay. And actually, so my other top one this year was The Salt Grows Heavy by Cassandra Kah. And I think you said you read Nothing But Black and Teeth this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
That book sucks.
It's
that book
horrible.
awful.
It was. I read this year. I'm not sure if you saw my video or not, but it was my least favorite book of the year, and I just went on an absolute tear about it. I could not stand anyone in that book.
No, that book is awful. But it's funny though, because so I went into The Salt Grows Heavy assuming that I would hate it, and I loved it. It was fantastic.
Yeah, because I think because you read it, I think this summer, because you're like, I'm reading this because
I read it. I read it the day it came out because we got it into the store, and it's so short that I was like, well, the store's not busy. I'm gonna read it. So I read it out.
Knock it out real quick.
Yeah.
Because I think whenever it was, I was reading Nothing But Black and Teeth right around the time that you read that, and you're like, this is so good. I was like, but this book is so bad.
It's so different. I don't know. Cassandra's writing is very different because there's another book that they wrote, The Dead Take the A Train, which is like co-written by them and Richard Kadrey. So I want to start reading that soon. But again, it's like an urban horror, so it's completely different. It's like set in New York. It's completely different again.
Yeah, but it's kind of killer cover.
God, I love it. That's why I bought it.
I would 100% buy that book just for that jacket. Yeah. Any other favorites? You did last year's. You want to do overalls?
I would do my favorite book of all time, and this is a hill I will die on, is Jurassic Park. The movie is bad.
Whoa. Okay. Yeah. Now that's a take.
The movie's bad.
The movie is different.
The movie is so everything's different. And I read the book first, obviously. And I've talked about this before, but the reason I love the book so much, I read it when I was about 10 or 11, and it was the first book that I felt like was teaching me something because it's obviously got a lot of science in it, and Michael Crichton is a doctor. So I that's when I sort of fell in love with sci-fi and books that make me feel smart. And then I watched the movie and I was like, what? What the hell is going on? I swear everyone that dies in the book lives in the movie, and everyone that lives in the book dies in the movie.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those scenarios where, like, it's the name is the same and the concept is loosely the same. Very different. Because I'm the same. I absolutely adore Jurassic Park, the book. And I also love the movie. Part of it's because I grew up watching the movie. I didn't read the book until I was 17, 18, I think. I was like, whoa, this is awesome. And I understand there were certain things they couldn't adapt about the book. Like the technology just wasn't there for them to do it in the movie.
Yeah. And it would not have been the same blockbuster it was if they had been faithful to the book, because then it would have just been a science movie.
Yeah.
And not an action movie.
Yeah. So like I really love Jurassic Park as a blockbuster popcorn movie, and I think in that sense it still 100% holds up. But my God, Jurassic Park, the book is so good. I love Michael Crichton.
Phenomenal. Yeah. I'm going to do a video on him coming up, exposing his problematic side.
No.
That I found by accident, but it's not that problematic. It's a whole weird situation.
Wow, I'm excited about that now, and also nervous.
He did an interview for Playboy magazine for their Y2K edition, and I came across it at an acquaintance's house. I was flipping through it, and I was like, "Interview with Michael Crichton? What?" And it's not. It's not the best takes on women. Let's just say that.
Oh no. All right. Well, I'm gonna keep my eye out.
But I still love him. So.
Because my he was in my high school library. I talk about high school a lot for some reason in this chat. But he was at my high school library. I read Jurassic Park, and then I read everything else he had wrote all at once. Timeline, Lost World, Andromeda Strain. Ooh.
Oh, love that one.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his stuff is very weird, though. Like some of his stuff is not science fiction. Like The Great Train Robbery. Very strange book. Very boring. Strange. I'll be honest. I don't like that.
Yeah. I like his science books more. Prey is a weird book too, but it had some pretty cool moments.
Yeah.
Also, I love the novel Lost World.
Yes. Yeah.
I also love the movie Jurassic Park Lost World for very different reasons.
I don't think I've seen Lost World.
If you didn't like Jurassic Park at all, you're gonna absolutely detest the Lost World.
I
the Lost World
Jurassic
is not
Park
a good
and then
movie.
I was like, yeah, I watched Jurassic Park and I was like, I'm done.
Whereas I feel like Jurassic Park is like a well-made blockbuster. The Lost World is not. It is. If you think Jurassic Park is dumb, you should watch Lost World.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I love it because I was like 7 when it came out and when I watched it. So.
Of course, yeah.
But man, the book is very good. Definitely. Sorry, we went off on a Jurassic Park tangent. Was that your only favorite book of all time?
I mean, there are so many. The Golden Compass trilogy was that was my Harry Potter. His Dark Materials. And I actually just picked up a special edition omnibus of the 3. I picked that up today, and I just put it up on my special Golden Compass shelf that I have.
I couldn't get into it.
That's okay. My dad read it to me, and it was like a special thing. Where I knew how to read. I don't know why my dad was reading them to me, but that was like our thing for a little bit. Was he read them all to me? So it's just. And then the movie was awful, but then the show that they just did was okay.
Yeah, I wonder if I need to watch the show. I don't know why. I just kind of get into Pullman's writing style.
That's fair.
I also don't know if you've read it. It says the word gypsy a lot, which I thought was weird.
Well, but no, because they're Egyptians, which is
that's right.
Not the word gypsy, even though that's 100% what we're doing. Egyptian.
That's right. But I don't know. I felt weird about it. And then also, I felt like it was just taking too long to get anywhere. I just wanted to get to the polar bears.
That's fair.
That's fair. I'm very impatient. I have to get that dopamine hit right away. I think that's why I like reading horror.
Yeah, exactly. But nothing but Black and Teeth, because nothing happens in that book.
Because nothing happens the whole time. Even though you want something to happen to everyone the whole time.
You're like, please, just kill everyone in the book and it'll be worth it. No.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how I felt. I was like, if everyone died, I probably would have been like, yeah, it was fine.
Give it a whole extra star if everyone dies.
But they didn't, and they absolutely deserved it.
Yeah. I mean, I have like 45 more favorite books, but I won't list them all now.
Oh, fine. What are your demons, though? Also, hello.
Oh, your demons. That's from.
Oh, from.
Hi, Sarah. That's my friend. The daemon is your little.
Yeah, the little animal.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that mine would be a gecko.
You want to elaborate on that?
No.
I think that mine would be a raccoon, probably.
In a very complimentary way, I could see that.
Thank you. Or I would say I'm a child at heart, which means my demon can change shapes into whatever it wants.
That's the cop-out answer.
It's only when you hit adolescence that it chooses one shape.
I actually changed my mind. I'm not a gecko. I think I'd be a bearded dragon because bearded dragons don't move.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm very lethargic.
That would not be useful.
No. And I'm not, so it'd be perfect.
Perfect. Oh no.
lowering the amount of damage that you output.
I
Things a little different.
I have some takes on favorite books.
Okay, yeah, share.
I think my favorite book of all time. Yeah, I think it's The Boatman's Daughter by Andy Davidson.
I still need to read that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I know. I saw that
On
you
my
bought
shelf.
it, so
I did buy it. Because
yeah,
of you, I bought it.
that's one of those books where I was like, I don't think I can write this good. I think I'm just gonna quit.
No, I mean, that's a great compliment to a book, but also very disheartening to yourself.
It is beautiful. It's beautifully written. It's heartbreaking. It's visceral. Oh, it's got everything. It's perfect. Perfect book.
Have you read his other books?
I have. I've read. He's got 3 books right now. He In the Valley of the Sun was his first book, The Boatman's Daughter, and The Hollow Kind.
Yeah, I bought
Of
that.
the three, Boatman's Daughter is my favorite. And this is a hot take, not really, but The Hollow Kind was my least favorite of his 3.
Oh, shoot. Well, I bought it because the paperback cover is sick.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I
The
say that in the sense of,
hardcover, like,
yeah. I bought the ebook. But it's not that The Hollow Kind is bad. I think it's good. It's just not as good as In the Valley of the Sun or The Boatman's Daughter. In the Valley of the Sun is about a cowboy in the 1980s who is a serial killer that preys on women until he's enthralled by a vampire. And it's him because like he's psychologically damaged. He feels bad about killing these women, so he's trying to control it anyway. And now he's also a vampire. So yeah, it's really good. It is an absolute banger of a book. But The Boatman's Daughter is better.
Well, if it's a perfect book.
One of my other favorite books of all time, I think, is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones, which is listed as horror, and I think it is horror in the vaguest sense, because it is not a scary book, but it is deeply traumatizing.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's also just because as an author, he's a horror author, so they don't want to split his books into different sections. But I agree with you that it's definitely not horror. It is horrific, but not horror.
Deeply traumatizing book. Love it. We'll read it again this year, I think. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, because I think the direction I want to take my YouTube channel is more of focusing on kind of long form deep dives in the books I really love, as opposed to because I like watching people's reviews on what they read, but like I want to talk in depth about things. I want to just kind of give like a spoiler free overview of how I feel about a book.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
So yeah, and I think that's one of the ones I'm gonna do. That and Ender's Game. All right. Well, it's almost 9 o'clock. Do we want to try and do another sprint, or do we want to try and wrap it up?
I think I want to wrap it up because I do have this pizza that I need to eat.
Yeah, that you
and
need
I
to
need
eat for
to finish
sure.
editing a video for tomorrow morning. So
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was great getting to actually chat with you and hang out for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll definitely do this again.
For sure. Everyone knows this is my channel, so if you're here, you know where I'm at. Jules, do you want to plug yourself a little bit again?
Yeah, so on YouTube, I'm at Julianna Caro. It used to be Jules Talks About, but I changed it for the algorithm, so it's just at Julianna Caro. And then on Instagram, I'm at juliannas.library. Follow me on both.
Well, thanks for coming on and writing with me and hanging out for a little bit, and maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. See you later, guys.
Accomplishes what you're looking to accomplish.